Oh, good morning from the Philippines at 8:14 a.m. I know it's quite a surprise. Mm. Some of you have asked the question why I haven't posted as frequently this week as in the past when I'm like a madman going crazy, posting. And that's because I've been sick. You could hear it in my throat. I have a frog in my throat. I think it was strep throat or tonsillitis. In any event, here's what happened. Let me share it with you. What happened was I ended up taking some amoxicillin that was hanging around the house. You know how that sometimes you'll have some medications left over and people will be leaving them lying around the house. So I just went around, I gathered up all the amoxicillin, and it turns out I had enough for a 7-day course of treatment. And I know when you have Dr. Google at your fingertips, why go to the doctor, right? So I had a few people look in there, ah, and they said, oh, yeah, it's very swollen. So, I said, bacterial infection, amoxicillin. So I started taking that and I started feeling better almost instantaneously. 3 times a day, one pill 3 times a day every 8 hours for a 7-day course of amoxicillin. Make sure that you take it. And then I started seeing people's comments start popping up on Facebook saying that they were also sick with the same thing. I do apologize for not hitting the cough button. So it's still swollen, but hopefully by day 3, I'm only on my second day. So by day 3, it'll start going away. You can hear it, clogging up my nasal passages. So anyway, let's see who all is here. I know it's a short moment, short moment. It might be a short stream. God Repairs is here. Marianne is here. Marianne Robotic. FVN is here in the house. Anime Reyes is here. I saw Larry Lee. Larry is here. I hope I can get through this. Are you saying that you have an infected personality? Yeah, it's more than that. It's more than that. What was I going to talk about today? Why am I here? That's the question. Oh, I know. Because we're starting a new project. Now, as many of you know, I don't like to say it's just I don't like standing still for very long. So when we make the decision to do something, then I want to go. And this build that's happening on this land that Minnie and I purchased. I'm going to just give you the big reveal right up front, right? It's investment property. There's going to be a rental house on it. I don't know what it's going to be like. I have 2 or 3 architects giving me renditions and proposals. And I'm thinking right away, I'm starting to think that these guys are wanting to become rich off my project. Because I always ask the question, well, how much do you think it's going to cost off the top of your head? And apparently, apparently 2 million is the first thing that comes out of everybody's mouth. 2 million pesos. That's not $2 million. That's about $40,000 American. So now that's a lot of money. And when I go looking on the internet, I try and take a look to see what people are paying to have their places built. I'm seeing like $1 million, $1.5 million. I'm seeing ridiculous quotes on there like 15,000 to 30,000 pesos per square meter. I don't know, but what I decided to do. Good morning, Megan is here. Megan Gomez. Are you still in New Zealand? Are you becoming a New Zealander? Anime, tell me what you think about this. So I don't like standing still waiting for everybody's proposal to come in. And I started coming up with all kinds of shortcuts to building this property. And then all of a sudden, I had the dream. Dan, remember what happened on this house build. Make sure that you're starting with a clean, level piece of land. The voice hits me, in the dream. Dan, are you listening? Please listen to me this time. Make sure that the land is level before you start. Now, here in the Philippines, for some reason, they like to do things like this. They don't level the land. What they do is they start building their support out of cement. They start building their supports once they have their design, and they start building oh, that's great. It's so exciting, Megan. I hope you're having a great time. Some of your Facebook posts are spectacular. I mean, the beauty is absolutely incredible. So you're so lucky, Megan. You're so lucky to be able to be there. I haven't even been to New Zealand yet, and it's only what is it, an 8-hour flight away? Janie is here. Let me continue on about this. Once I get a sip of water. Jerry is here. Hello, Jerry. So now, let me talk a little bit about this. So land prep is so important, but the way they build here is they don't level the land. They level your foundation that you're going to build. And so we end up with low spots, high spots and low spots on the land, not the house. The house is perfectly level. They did an excellent job on this house. I couldn't be happier. The real problem comes in because they didn't level the land when they started, and they don't do that here. They don't come in and the first thing they say is, oh, we need to level the land and build it up a little bit higher. They don't do it like they do it everywhere else in the world. It probably is because it's too expensive. And so I was going to do it the way they recommended. And then all of a sudden I had the dream. And the dream was brakes. Stop. Don't do it. Don't do it that way. Level the land and build it up first. And I was thinking to myself, well, hell, that's going to cost money. And the voice said, Dan, don't question me. Just do it. The voice was so loud, ringing in my head. It was like God sending a bolt of lightning to my brain. Dan, why don't you ever listen to me? And then the next thing I do, I see screens of my life appearing on. When I sent you the boat, when I sent you the flying wings, when I sent you the raft, did you listen to me? No. Look what happened. So I go, okay. I will do what you say. So the first order of business, I'm going to do a video about this, but the first order of business is to bury the water lines, because here in the Philippines, we run water lines, but we're lazy. We don't bury them beneath the surface, right? And the reason why we don't is sometimes these water lines, they spring a leak. And you want to have access to them if they spring a leak, so you wouldn't bury them underground, right? So it's not one main water line coming down the Barangay Road. Most of you know this. This is your actual 5/8 or 1/2 inch or 3/4, whatever you're running, water line PEX. It's continuous roll. You go buy it in 50 and 100 feet, or you buy it in 25-foot rolls, and then you piece it together if you have a long way to go, and you hook up into your main water line. BS business in the house. Just buy a NIPA. Well, we will do that. We will buy a NIPA for the workers if they have to stay overnight. But the house is just next door, and so if they need shelter, they just come, bring their sleeping bags, and they sleep on the porch, and then we have the outdoor kitchen, the outdoor CR and shower. We got everything we need. So I don't really think I thought about it, but I don't think I personally would live in a NIPA, but how do you how do you rent it out and get the money that, you need this land to be able to produce money. And the whole thing is going to be income producing property. So you have to do a good job, because you might have students in there, you might have expats. They want all the fancy stuff. They want television, air conditioning. They want high speed Wi-Fi. I mean, they want blazing Wi-Fi like this. They want blazing high speed Wi-Fi, and they want it all for the price of renting a bed space. See, that's the direction we're going. Anyway, otherwise, if it were me, I would live in a nipa hut. What's the big deal? I'm turning Filipino anyway. So anyway, so they're digging out. We've got some students, and they're digging out. We just went down the street looking for students. Hey, anybody need some work? Anybody need some cash? Come over to Dan's place. And a whole bunch of people showed up, and now they're out there. Minnie is here. Hi, Minnie. Now they're out there, and they are digging out the trench so they could bury the water lines that cross the border of the land, right? The 200 square meters. I don't know what the linear feet in front is, or the linear meters, whatever it is. It's a square piece of property, so do the math. It's almost perfectly square. And then once they get that water line buried, then we could start ordering 5 cubic meters of dump trucks to come in here and start, bringing us some rock, because we're gonna raise it. We're gonna level it out using rock, not 3/4 inch gravel. I thought about that. Filipina Mel is here. I hope your baby and you are home now. I hope so. I hope she's way better. She looked good the last time you posted on Facebook. So anyway, you level it out. You want to use probably 1/4 inch gravel or less. Small, very small crushed rock. LNL is here. The Lila Vlogs is in the house. Hello, LNL. Now, hey, let me stop in the story for a second just to say to LNL. Now, she knows that I, instead of spelling out her channel name right, I will put LNL. I hope she's not offended. LNL, you're not offended by that, right? And so it confuses people when I go into other live streams. LNL is there, and then I'll just shortcut it. But I even want to shortcut it, or I thought about shortcutting it even more, and just going LL. But the whole thing is, people might confuse Leah and Lila Vlogs with Lazy Larry, and I don't want that to happen. So I just have to keep doing it. LNL. Well, now you know, right? She's okay now. She's still drinking her last prescription given by the doctor after we discharge. Very good. Take care of that little baby. She's precious. I love her to death. I'm telling you, she is so much fun to be around. Let's see. Anime. Living in a nipa hut feels comfortable. You had an unlimited air con in every slope of the floor. Yeah, I know. That's the reason why I like the idea of building a native house. But I'll talk about the house in a minute, how I decide I'm going to build it, or where my thought process is, right? It's not final. But I'm leading the charge on this thing. So, everybody, yeah, I know. Dan's always in charge. Dan always has to be in charge, right? So, okay, they have to bury that water line to bring those 5. The trucks carry 5 cubic yards, I believe it is, of. I know it's so weird the way they use the metric system here. And then when you talk about buying gravel and certain things, right, they go by cubic yards, right? They go by not cubic metric yards, cubic yards, right? So it's a combination of, the metric system and then the English pound system, where we're using pounds, feet, yards. It's so confusing, right? If they confuse LNL with me, I think that would be an insult to them. Exactly, Larry. Exactly. Oh my gosh. So, anywho, I've been sick. Did I tell you I've been sick? All right. Right here. And I'm out of water. I should have filled this all the way up with fresh water. But now I'm out. I'm going to have to yell, water! I need water. All right. Mike Married. Is Mike Married here? Mike, how are you? He's back in Canada, the 51st state. Don't get me started. I apologize, Mike. I didn't mean to go there. I was just watching the YouTube video. You know what happened in the Oval Office. Never say never. Never say never. That's my line. If you can dream it, then it can happen. All right, so here's what happened. They're digging that out. They're going to go a couple of feet. They're going to go, well, it's going to be probably half a meter for everybody living here in the Philippines, half a meter. And then they'll bury that water line so that the truck doesn't run over it. And as soon as they get that done, then I can start ordering truck. Now, I haven't told any of the contractors that I'm leveling this land, even though they came to me with their proposals, saying, no, you don't do it that way. You just level the structure that you're building. Listen, I'm not laughing at them. I'm laughing with them. You don't do it that way, folks. Plus, we have an underground aquifer. I think you guys know that from the videos that we did when we were originally building this house. We went down deep, we hit water, and then there were tilapia floating around in there, baby tilapia. So I don't know if those were fish that escaped the fish growing part of the river or not. It could be. They were fingerlings. What do you call them? They were baby tilapia. They were big enough though that you could clearly see that they were tilapia. And so we have a freshwater aquifer going underneath this part of the property. And it's easy to tell because you look over, we live like on a barangay road, but it's a levee. It basically was a levee road originally. It was designed to keep the water, as a water barrier. Well, the water is going to find its way to the ocean. It's coming downhill. It's going to find its way there. So anyway, once we get that done, which hopefully will be by the end of today, we're going to start ordering gravel so we could level the entire lot and build it up a little bit. And then we'll have a clean slate, and then my brain can concentrate on other things. Pinky Gray is here. She's having the big giveaway this month. Make sure you head over there and become an entrant. Enter to win. Juliana Mart is here. Mike Married. It's funny if Canada was 51st state, orange guy wouldn't be in charge. We wouldn't vote orange. That's pretty funny. I'll have to admit, that's pretty funny. So, anywho, you got me. So then we'll build it up and then we'll figure it out. But I know right off the top, we're not doing a hollow block house. That is completely out of the question. Hollow block is not going to be involved in this thing. And why is that? That is because, right, hollow block, it takes too long to build. That's the first reason. Hollow block takes too long. And I watch too many guys hanging around, smoking cigarettes while one guy was mixing and one guy was setting the hollow block. And we ain't going to do that again, right? We're not doing that again. But we're going to, let's see, I have an entry day later live. Hope everyone join Pinky Gray for a chance to win some big do-re-mi. After all, I am a sponsor. I like putting my money to work. There's no better person to invest with than Pinky Gray's channel. So, but as luck would have it, over here, up there. What is going on is they're building a metal stud framed in-law apartment. for relatives over there. I just happened to come across it when we were invited for a snack one day at the neighbors. So we went over there, and it turned out to be lechon baboy with all the fixins, you know? And so while I was grubbing, I noticed this structure going up. And then the materials were starting to come in, and they were metal studs. And then that got me thinking, hey, you guys ain't building a hollow block house. The foundation was already built. Well, we were thinking about it, they said, and then my daughter said, why don't we just build it using metal studs and HardieFlex? And then I really got excited about that. Mike says, my dad's house we built is a new version of a Nipa house. It sits on stilts made with coconut wood. You know what? And I have thought about doing it that way. And we sort of have a hybrid sort of thing going in here, you know? So this is sort of the way that I've been thinking. So, but except that we probably will build a concrete foundation and then use metal studs. And then on the second floor, I haven't decided, but we could go to cocoa wood and Nipa matting, you know, the matting. And so you know how a lot of native houses right around here, they're built that way. No, the bottom floor is usually hollow block, and the top floor is cocoa wood with matting, you know, the top floor. So, but I know this for sure, Mike. I know this for sure by talking to a whole bunch of engineers and the people down at the home improvement store, City Hardware, that I would have no problem with pest infestation using marine wood as the foundation for the second floor. You know, termites will eat it up. That's what, yeah. Well, Mike, I already know how Mike feels about it because, and then I talked to a whole bunch of engineers and they say, well, no. And then if Mike, I can understand you wanting to do it this way. And like I said, I was all in. I was all in on doing it that way, except that after I did my research on the marine floor, the marine flooring, discovered that all the laminates and things that are used in building this marine wood is all pest resistant from its very inception, from its very conception, from the very, very beginning. It's board termite proof. And so they have 3/4 inch flooring, just like we do in the States. So I'm going to do the second floor that way. But I'm not being a total and complete loser or moron on this, right? I am leaving it open. The flooring is also going to be, right, the ceiling of the first floor. Obviously, metal studs across, metal supports across. So, or maybe even I-beam with very thin laminate that can be removed if you need to access the floor from underneath in case it did get pest infestation. Then I could easily do it without disrupting, you know, by having to tear the whole second floor down, right? So no, but the termite infestation on the second floor. Daisy Lynn is here. She sings like a bird and a member for 9 months. So I mean, if something were to happen on that second floor, then I would just tear it down and rebuild it, because how much money do you have invested? So all my roofing and everything is going to be attached to the main structure, to the first floor, obviously, because you're building your concrete pillars all the way up, and then you're putting your marine wood flooring in there, and then your roof structure, your purlins and everything, it's all attached to the main structure. And I even showed the architect, we're not doing anything fancy with this roof, okay? So I noticed he's a roofing specialist. This engineer loves to do roofs. I said, this is going to be simple and sweet and inexpensive. And he just smiled at me. You just smiled at me, basically. What is your email? I'll send you a picture of the house you should do. The emails is in. Oh, I'll put it in. I'll write it in. Well, I don't have my keyboard here, but if you go to any one of my videos, you're going to see the email in the description. Contact Dan and Minnie. So it's there, but I'll put it in the description of this later also. Gemelina wood is termite resistant and very pretty too. Okay, I'm going to check that out. But the whole thing is not going to be a wood structure. The concrete foundation and supports all the way up. And then metal studs on the second floor originally is what we planned. We could use matting, but we may not. And then we're going to use Hardy Flex, you know, and then paint it whatever color we want. We're going to do it. We're putting, by the way, the insulation, since you're here, Mike. Hey, Joe, Buena Vista Dreaming, since you're here. So we went over the insulation. Now, I went over the insulation with the engineer. We talked about all the stuff, right? We talked about the expensive stuff. We talked about the sprayed in. We talked about all the stuff. And he has convinced me, you know, whether it's because it's very available, right? That the barrier between the walls is very important that barrier does a lot of stuff. You know, as you know, Mike, it eliminates the transfer of heat, which is the main problem in the hollow block. So he said that he guarantees that by using the two-sided aluminum styrofoam, we're going to be good. He said, listen, if you knew the difference between you could easily tell the difference between walking into a hollow block house or one made with Hardy Flex. He said it's so easy. You know, the vapor barrier and thermal barrier. It serves the same purpose. So I said, you're fine using the sheets of two-sided aluminum styrofoam in between. The foil back styrofoam. He said, you're perfect. He said, it'll be 20 degrees less than what it is in your own house right now, just off the get-go. So anyway, it makes sense to me, and so we're gonna do it that way. But I like the bamboo. I like bamboo matting for the native. What do they call it? Elevation of the house, just to make it pretty and to make it look like it belongs. And so I may add a layer of bamboo matting, maybe even as instead of painting the outside of the Hardy Flex, you know, on that second floor, why not just use matting, bamboo matting? Why not just use matting? You know, it would look beautiful. If it ever goes bad, you just take it off and put more bamboo matting on there. Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know here, or PM me. Yeah, PM me. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see. Mike says, I'm building a new house with metal beams for the posts. Well, he mentioned this. He mentioned using I-beam or square stock, right? Cross beam walls are glass and steel and want to have glass with automatic darkening. Nice, nice. I was thinking of Hammocken exterior also over CHB. Okay. So I don't know what the hell that is, but I will by the end of tonight. Because I'm going to look it up. I'll find out. Because nothing is set in cement. Nothing is set in stone, right? And so now, another thought has crossed my mind. Now I've been talking a two-story structure, right? And the reason why is because it's a money-making building. And so the more room you have, the more money you're going to make. We have 200 square meters. So it's bamboo matting. Okay. So bamboo matting. Yeah, exactly. So now here's the thing. For the driveway, you could have the building overhang the driveway. And so I have a defined kitchen area, all the CRs, and obviously the septic system and everything are downstairs. So you have the CRs. I think he said he could squeeze 5 CRs into that space, 5 or 6. And we started talking about, do they need to be complete CRs? And we decided, no, they don't. So we're going to have two stalls that are shower, private rooms. You know, they're regular bathrooms, but they're private. Well, we're going to talk about that, Mike. We're going to talk about the prefab house. So we're going to have, all this is going to be downstairs, and you're going to have egress on both sides. So you're going to have stairs on both sides of a hallway with the rooms on top, with doors opposing each other, but not lined up with each other for privacy reasons, right? You don't want people to open the door and, oh my God! You open the door accidentally, I cannot unsee that. So anyway, the rooms are going to be comfortable, but and they're going to be maximum. We're going to design them so they have privacy built in. You know, they have private space. Yeah, so you don't open up and see somebody, you know, doing something you're not supposed to see. So anyway, we got these ideas. They're working on. I have the architect already. I have the engineer already working on the design, and they're going to be making a proposal. But you know, off the top, you know, I don't really think this is a $2 million project. I really don't think so. You tell me what you think. It's the actual structure is only going to be like 125 square meters. And I know if you go into YouTube, they say, or Google, or even Google AI, they're going to tell you that you got to plan for between 20,000 to 40,000 pesos per square meter. And I don't see it. I really don't see it. So Mike and Mike, can you please give me your idea about that? I don't think so. I don't see it. I really don't. I'm seeing somewhere between 8 to 15 pesos per square meter. You know, between 8 and 15 per square meter. Larry is saying, Mel, did you check your PayPal? Oh, that's very generous of you. That's very, very generous of you, Larry. So let's see how it works out. Because I could just pay somebody to do the plans. Perry Shaley is here. I could just, let's see, that price, if you have a builder do the work, I'd be like, well, see, and that's the whole thing. I know I could put a crew together. You know, I know I could put a crew together myself, you know, because we know everybody, because we built this house. So we just call the crew back when they're available and say, hey, can you do this? Right? But I like this particular engineer. There's one guy who has this framing crew right over here, and I like what I'm seeing. And not only that, I like the engineer. So the whole thing is that would you pay extra because you like somebody that you know is very competent in building the way that you want it built? So that's really the question. You know, right? Well, I would be the foreman. Come on, I would have a foreman, but they would have to deal with me because Dan does know what he's doing. You know. So I'm not a virgin when it comes to building stuff, you know, not by any stretch of the imagination. And quite frankly, neither is Minnie. I mean, because Minnie, I mean, we rebuilt our house in Sacramento practically from the ground up. You know, if I could leave Minnie alone and she will hang drywall all day long, 4x8, carrying it herself. You know, carrying it herself and hanging it and then plastering it, you know, taping and plastering. I mean, she knows how to do all that. I mean, she's very good at it. She's way better than I am because she has patience, you know. And so if she doesn't get something square, straight, or just perfect, she'll redo it. Got it. Not virgins to build them. Yeah. So anyway, well, that's what, when I see something going sideways, I'll stop it and say, hey, time out. Break time. Dan will ponder it. See, I won't let them go forward with it. I'll just say, hold the phone, everybody stop. 10-minute break, drinks are on me. I'm very nice about it. And then I go over there and I'll ponder something. And the answer will come to me, okay, we need to do it this way. Oh, we are. Oh, we have an attorney. Hey, if we go with the contractor, we have the whole thing, just like they do it here in the States. You know, the whole escrow account set up at the bank. No money moves. It only moves at increments at a time as they finish one part of the job. You know, 10 to 15% when the foundation's done, 10 to 15% when the first floor is finished, 10 to 15% when that, you know that we have the whole thing outlined because I went to the Philippine, what they call it, that association. I got the formula. And so we integrate that, including the non-performance clause. And I already talked to the engineer about it. I said, well, you're going to have to sign I know what a standard contract looks like here in the Philippines. And believe me, everything favors them. I said, well, you have to be willing to sign a few things, a few entries that I'm going to make to the non-performance clause, you know, and that's going to include the date of the start date, how long it's going to take to finish, and then the penalties in the event that things don't happen in the timeline that they agreed, rain or shine. So, you know, we thought this whole thing through. We have an attorney helping us with the contracts, but I didn't say I was going to go that way because he also said, oh, you can just pay me for the plans. And so that may be the way to go. Oh yeah, sure. I could email that stuff. So he has right now, before we even started, what I really liked about this guy is before we even got started, well, you think that I would have been mad about this, Mike, but I wasn't. Yeah, that's it. No rush. Oh, no rush. Yeah, and we're not rushing either, really. Even though it seems, I mean, I am, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I am, you know, I am rushing, but the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. So, what I liked about him was the paperwork aspect of it. Before I could even work on a proposal, I need to make sure that you're the owner of the land. I need all the specifications. So, as you know, we just got it surveyed, and so we picked up the survey the other day from the survey office, along with the other things, you know, the transfer of title, the transfer of the sale, the proof of sale, you know, agreement, you know, the contract and all that other stuff. And, you know, I was impressed by the survey. You know why I was impressed? Because it was there were no hiccups. The guys at the survey office, it didn't happen like it did here, right? So it didn't it didn't happen like it did here. You know, which was, oh, you only missed it by this much. This much is like this much. Oh, the survey was only off by this much, you know. It was very embarrassing for the folks that, quite frankly, you wouldn't want me to lie, would you? They were very embarrassed and they gave us a refund right on the spot. Once they saw the survey was not correct, they just went. They didn't say another word. Once they verified it, they were like, you know, they don't want any trouble. Remember, these are engineers with big time college degrees from big time engineering schools. They don't want to get a reputation for doing shoddy work. And so Girly Senna is here. Hi, Girly Senna. Girly Cena. I keep saying Girly Senna, but it's Cena, right? Give me a thumbs up, Girly, if your name is Cena, as opposed to the way the Spanish would pronounce it, or I think the way that the Spanish would pronounce it. Oh, pronunciation. Yeah, I wasn't going to bring this up, right? But yeah. So the Spanish, listen, I have to be careful what I say here. I'm going to be very, very careful. But in the Philippines, you have a lot of words that there's the Spanish gave them the name, right? The Spanish named them. And so I don't know if many of you know this or not, but I am from Spanish descent. My people are here, right? I could show you my lineage going back to Spain, and I could show you at what point they came to the Philippines. So some of you we share DNA, right? We share DNA, and how they ended up in Mexico. I could show you the whole thing. But since the Spanish words are pronounced differently than the way Filipinos pronounce them, right? They're pronounced differently. But when I see the word, I'm going to pronounce it, not because I'm trying to be rude. It's because that's the Spanish pronunciation of the word, right? Yes. And sharing, yes, sharing is what I'm all about, Mike. As most people here know. So are you following me? In other words, someone's going to say, oh, Dan, you're mispronouncing the word. And I like being learning and it's okay to correct me. It's okay to correct me. I like learning, right? But if you go back and you read your history of the Philippines, you're going to discover that the Spanish, they named a lot of stuff. There are towns that you could go into, the whole town is in Spanish, right? Someone said if you go down to, now I don't want to mispronounce that island either. But if you go down south, you'll see everything is written in Spanish. And that means that, you're going to, a guy like me visiting for the first time is going to pronounce everything in Spanish, not the Filipino dialect, the island dialect. And so the island dialect is where all the changes occurred, right? For example, I'll give you a simple one, right? The town that we live in. When I first came here, people were laughing at me because I called it Bay Bay. KKS Travel is here, and Education Vlogs. Education is what we're talking about, as a matter of fact. Tib? Yes, exactly. Tim gets it. Oh, you're welcome. Bucci, you're welcome. All right, so I called it Bay Bay, right? Because it's Bay Bay. No, Dan, you don't pronounce it Bay Bay. I said, but that's what it says. That's how it's spelled. It's pronounced bye-bye. It's bye-bye city. People are just going to laugh at you if you call it Bay Bay. Listen, I just started laughing because I didn't know, but I've been going around. I want to get, yes, that's right. Did you know Mike is absolutely 1,000% correct in that statement? Let's get it up here so everybody knows. Let's get it up here. Where is it? Where is it? Here you go. Did you know that Mexico had a governor in charge of the Philippines, not always the Spanish? Yes, as well as California. See? So the whole thing is, if you know a little bit, they used to teach this stuff. They taught this stuff in elementary school. but they no longer teach it. And I doubt that they teach it here. And so it's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame that they don't go over this history. Because whenever I talk about it, people just kind of give me this, they kind of give me the, huh? We laugh it down all the time for no reason. Yeah, so, anyway. Oh my gosh. Mexico, yes, that's right. Mexico, CBGB is in the house. Welcome in, welcome in. Mexico has a Jewish president today. Who would have ever thought that was possible? Let's see, Dan, I promised that if I wasn't following you, I would pronounce it the same way that you do. Yes, exactly. Exactly, Larry. And so I didn't know how to get out of that situation. I didn't know, because it reminded me of faux pas that many people have made when in giving public speeches for which they were canceled. And Lord knows I don't want to be canceled. Lord knows I would do anything not to be canceled. Please don't cancel me, please. So anyway, I hope everybody understands that if I mispronounce anything, your name, your city, your street, your barangay, the name of your firstborn child, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not. But you are always welcome to correct me. It's a woman, Mike. Scheinbaum. It's a woman. So, or having a person, I would just call you, by your first name. If you had 6 names attached to your first name, but I've even gotten in trouble for doing that. You have to listen. People are proud of their names. For example, I finally realized that Pamela is not pronounced Pamela here. It's Pamela. I finally realized that recently. Larry knew way before me because he goes in the live streams and he sees how people are referred to, their name. It's okay to correct me. By the way, Crystal's Adventure. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Crystal's Adventure. Good morning. Am I mispronouncing Crystals? I don't mean to be disrespectful. I just want to make sure, Listen, but I do notice this, though. I will say this, Yeah. Yeah, Crystal, something. She understands me. Of course, we met in person. To know me is to love me, So the whole thing is, I would not deliberately insult you. Well, yeah, I would. I take that back. That's a lie, and you don't want me to lie to you. But yeah, I would if you said something, unreasonable. But listen, the other part that I want to say is, can you not be drunk when you're talking to me about a serious thing such as that? Can you try not to be drunk when this happens? That would be nice. I think we'd have a better flow of communication, Don't be falling down drunk and then attack me. Be straight, Mike says, because someone, let's see. What? Because someone wanted the other one, same as Canada Liberals wanted the same guy. Okay. By the way, I don't want, listen, I'm not a fan of that whole, I wish that that whole 51st state thing would just go away. Mike, seriously, I don't like it. I don't like the rhetoric. I don't like the talk. And so it embarrasses me, quite frankly. It embarrasses me, and I wish they would knock that off. But I don't. But they said that that I don't know the facts. You know, the facts are that the United States subsidizes Canada to a tremendous amount of dough. You know, and I don't know that as being a fact either. You know, I really don't. But so, you know, if I were interested enough in it, I would do my own research. But I'm not that interested in it. You know, but a sovereign country should not be treated that way. Let's see. Filipina Mel says, just here, Sir Dan, listening. Oh, I'm talking foreigner also today. He rents of the renting house. Let's see. He came from the USA, New Jersey. Oh, well, you know, New Jersey is almost like a separate country, Mel. That's a little bit of a joke, but it's true. I'd have to almost put New Yorkers in the same category, but you know, Larry is here, and you know, Larry and I we're kind of cool with each other. Let's see. All right. Yeah, like I said, getting back to the house. Getting back to the house. So there's all kinds of house. I've been neglectful in sharing with you that there are all kinds of house under different stages of construction. So I promise you that I will do a video showing you where all the homes are that are being built, and they're going up like crazy, and they're all within walking distance of this house. So remember, I had said within 5 years it was going to be a completely different ball game around here. It was going to look like a neighborhood from the United States, from the West, and it's turning out that it's starting to become that. Glenda is here. Hi, Glenda. Oh man, my goodness. Let me see. You know why he has an artificial leg, though, right, Mike? It's because, well, I like chicken. I just happen to like chicken legs. Oh, Josephine is here. Yeah, I don't have my cell phone up and running, or else I would give you status. But I'll try and do that later. I'm trying to figure out how you do it. How do I give you? How do I give you a jacket without going to my channel on my phone? There's got to be a way to do it, right? Yeah, I'm messing up. Let's see. Go to YouTube. Oh, hey, didn't you think that a regular guy video was funny? I thought it was hella funny. I know I have a bizarre sense of humor. Can you guys go tickle that video 2 or 3 more times so it could get the 1K? It was good. I thought it was great, but you know, it stopped short of 1K. If you guys could do me the honor of going in there and tickling that, I truly would be. I would appreciate it. Let me see where I'm at here. Oh, I know. I have to see. I think this is one reason why I have so many problems with this phone is because I forget to get off of the data, get onto data, and turn off the Wi-Fi on my phone. And then there's a conflict. The phone doesn't know what to do. It spins around like a top. You know, Dan, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to use Wi-Fi? Are you trying to use data? What are you trying to do? Let me see. Live view off. Live stream. Dan. Shorts. Yeah, I'm having problems. Technical issues here. New project begins. Commercials. Ads. Now I've gotten to Josephine. Now I'm in. Add as moderator. Standard. Should be good. Yeah, should be good to go. And then there's somebody else I think I missed, and then I can't scroll back in my history. But if you come online right now, KKS Travel. KKS Add as moderator. I think there's one more, right? All right, we'll see. We'll wait and see. All right, so the phone is confused also. Oh, yeah. I know. I'm not the only one, huh, Pink? All right, so let's see. Don't forget that tomorrow's is the weekly giveaway. And as soon as I'm done with this live here, we're going to go and head over to the 7-Eleven so I can load up my Gcash so I'm ready to go so we can give away 3 prizes of 333. Oh, here's Alyssa. Alyssa's here. Alyssa, welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. There. All right. Yeah. So what was I talking about? I'm all over the place, right? Anyway, do you have any idea where I can rent a motorcycle? No, I really don't because I've never had the occasion to do one. But I think I saw a motorcycle rental downtown when we were driving around. I saw a place there. You know who's going to know? Is that big motorcycle dealer that's on the corner of, what's the name of the street there? It sits on the corner. It has every kind of bike in the world. They would know where to go rent them. They might even rent them there themselves. If he goes downtown to Bye Bye City and asks somebody, they're going to be able to tell him where to go rent. So send him downtown. And remind him that where all the people go to hang out. You know, drip woods. Sounds like a venereal disease, doesn't it, Mike? Motorcycle repair place and ask them. Yeah, any motorcycle repair place. Mike at Hey Joe would be right. By the way, if you haven't already signed up for Mike's channel, he's going to get rocking and rolling, and you don't want to miss out when he starts building his house in the Philippines. Buena Vista Dreaming. Mike Hey Joe, Buena Vista Dreaming. I'll lend your motorcycle, sir, Dan, if I had one. But I have the little electric bike now, you know. I have the little electric thing. And I haven't ridden it much. I've only ridden it like 3 times. They're going to modify it for me so I don't tip over. They said they're going to do some modifications on it. You know, because I want to terrorize the residents of Bye Bye City. I want to go screaming down the national highway with not having fear of tipping over or going around the corner. I want to have a horn on it. Beep, beep. You know, a loud one. You know, I want to have, as a matter of fact, I talked to somebody, I want to put lights and sirens on it, you know, red and blue lights. So when I'm screaming down the highway, they not only see the flag, right, of Bye Bye City up there, but they'll see the police lights and the siren as I'm racing down the street, you know. It's going to be a sight to see. We're doing it. All right, so let's see what else. All right, so anyway, that's enough about the house, right? But you could build them fast. And the other thing that bugs me, Mike knows this because we've talked about this. I don't like guys standing around. Mike feels the same way, I think. We don't want somebody rendering a wall. We don't want someone hanging around rendering a hollow block wall. You know, the little thing. Heck no, absolutely not. And that's where the hardy plank idea came in. No, not no, it's hell no. You aren't rendering a wall, not a single wall in this new house. So that's where the hardy flex idea came from. I'm not having anybody rendering it. I'm going to avoid heat transfer. People, the way they're building houses here in the Philippines is changing. Yeah, chipping it out for pipes. Hell no, you know. But Mike, what do you think of this? So the engineer suggests this, and I really didn't care for this idea too much either, and I haven't talked to him about it. And that was that. Well, when you know all the cops, you're not going to end up in jail. Come on, Crystals. You know how it goes in the Philippines. You have to know everybody. You have to know the mayor, the chief of police, all the police officers, and I just happen to know everybody. So here's the whole thing. He wants to embed the pipes. He wants to embed the electrical outlets in the supports. And at first, it sounds like an okay idea. Do you think that would work? Mike, I'm just asking for your advice, because you could grab all the electrical easily and run it right through those metal supports if it's already embedded in the concrete supports, right? The pipe. So I'm just wondering. And also, you have utility pipe. You would end up having the utility pipe. If you need to hardwire internet service in there, if you need to do all that stuff, you would have utility pipes that are in the support columns that you could run all your utilities through. And I like that idea. I like the idea because I wasn't thinking the whole thing through, where you could grab your hardwire lines and then run them from the supports inside the metal studs. I think that's what he was. At first, I didn't realize it. In fact, I just realized it while I'm sitting here. Yeah, you have police friends you could drive without a license. Exactly. But I got mine. By the way, I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I have my Philippine driver's license. I passed the test with 100%, which someone told me is very difficult to do. So there you go. There's Dan's. No, don't steal my number. Don't go back and rewind it so that you could steal my identity. But that's it right there. That's it. So I got it. I'm legal. Anyway, Mike, let me know what you think about that idea. Mike, or anybody for that matter. So anyway, the way they're building houses has changed. You can cast the conduit when pouring the columns. Okay, that's what we're going to do. All right, so things have changed. And the hollow block, I'm a little concerned for hollow block manufacturers, because I would say that that's a business I wouldn't want to be in right now. Because it's going to go away. Now let's talk about prefabbed houses. Here's what the dilemma is on the prefab. So even though we've made a commitment to go to Quezon City to see that they make them they deliver them to the warehouse in Cebu, but the manufacturer displays, and the manufacturer is located in Quezon City. Screen capture Dad's license. Yeah, that'll come in handy. No, I don't want to have to pay any fines when I go and renew my license. Please don't use my license. All right, so now here's the thing. We have to go and take a look at some models, right? The ones that we would be interested in. That's right. I was going to mention that you would need a crane, but the way that I have it in my head is that we could do it with the fold-up units. They have the units now that unfold, right? But here are a couple of options, right, where you don't need a crane. You build an I-beam. Right? After you pour your concrete and your concrete supports, your concrete pad, then you would bolt an I-beam crane right there on site. So you'd have your I-beam going across, and then you'd have your either your manual or your electrical winch that has the support capability, that has the the load capacity to be able to carry a container, okay, a gantry. Okay, but now check this out, Mike. That would be easy enough to do, because I've done it before. Where I built one was in a printing press. The guy comes to me and it's a web press. If you know what a web press is, they used it at the time to print newspaper print, right? And so the rolls of paper were huge. And he says, man, I'm destroying rolls of paper. It's costing me a fortune by using my forklift in order to load it onto the web press. And I said, well, why don't you build an I-beam, right? And so he goes, what? And then I showed him the way that I would do it. Mike says it's a gantry. So it's called a gantry, but you would build that, and then you could build the system by which you just lift and load onto the web press. And I was able to find a crew. I made a lot of money doing that, by the way. He didn't know I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? But I was able to find a crew to come in there and weld everything together and put together. It was actually not as difficult as you guys might think. Actually pretty easy. Elmer Gantry. And he was so happy, and so was I, because I didn't have to lift a finger. I was able to find all the materials in the crew in order to build this thing so easily, right? I was able to find the equipment so easily, and the crew that just came over and put the thing together. No, you don't have to be hands-on. You just have to have a little bit of ingenuity, right? You have to have some experience, though, with certain things. So anyway, but here's the thing now. Here's the problem, Mike. I was going to tell you there's a dilemma involved with this, right? That probably is a deal killer. And I'm going to tell you what it is. The deal killer is the fact that virtually have eliminated the idea of a container house, almost, because of the tariffs. Here's what happened. The tariffs have caused shipping to come to a dead stop, right? It's come to a halt. And containers, both empty and full, are showing up at ports all over the world. They're in Cebu. They're in New Jersey. They're in Atlantic City. They're in San Francisco. They're in Oakland. They're all over Asia. They're all over ports. They're piling up in ports all over Southeast Asia. And it has drove the price of containers down to nothing. Because now you can go see the port master, and you could probably buy a 40-foot high cube container for $500. $500 American money. Now you would think this would be a good thing. But you can't unload them on your property because of what Mike pointed out. Narrow barangay streets, and in that case of a container, you would need an actual crane. And the crane capacity is too heavy of a load that they will allow that to be driven down the barangay street unless you agreed to pay for all the damages that it would cost. So if you told me you wanted to do this, right, and plus you have all the wires from infrastructure, street lights and electricity and all this other stuff that would have to be removed. And so the problem with the prefab houses, they're too expensive now. They're too expensive because they can't adjust their price to come down lower, because now you could buy a high cube 40-foot container for so cheap and then convert it yourself, and you won't even reach half the cost of what it would cost, not even a quarter of the cost probably, of what it would be cost to have that built by a container house, making it almost impossible because it doesn't make sense to buy a container house, even if it's the fanciest thing on earth, because you now know that the price of the actual container has tanked. And so they're stuck with all this inventory. And it probably will be months, if at all, years before they realize that they're screwed, that they can't sell their inventory, that they can't sell anything in stock, and they'll be unwilling to drop the price because that's how they roll in the Philippines. They won't realize that they're screwed for 2 or 3 years down the road. They'll try and save their business with old money, and it's not going to work. They're out of business. Basically, what I'm saying is you can't make it work financially. And so that means that no matter if I go to Manila and I take a look at the models, I can't pay the price that they want to for the container, because I know that I could go to the port of Cebu and they'll be how many do you want? When do you want them? We've got even trucks and trailers available to haul them to where you need them. Can we do it today? You see, this is what's going on. They would just dump the unused containers in the ocean when they're exactly. Mike is exactly correct. They would just start dumping them in the ocean, and they'll use them for a coral reef. They don't know what to do with them. It's a disaster. And so now you can't go. I don't know if you guys are following me. Mike, are you following me? You can't justify the expense of buying a container house unless they're practically willing to give it to you for free, because you can convert one yourself for pennies on the dollar. So now if I could figure out, right? Yeah, because the factory is there, the distributor's there. One of the biggest factories in the Philippines is there. Well, yeah, but height restriction, they're still heavy. So I looked at everything, Mike. So here's the other. So I like the idea. I guess what I'm telling you is I not only like the idea, I love the idea. You know, I love the idea. The container has short lifetime. Yes, that's the other problem. So, but I love the idea so much. You could get 25 years out of it. You can get probably 50 years out of it, Mike. So here's the whole thing. They have container wheels, as you know. You probably know, Mike, that you could put on the container. So when they drop it, hopefully they have tilt bed and they drop the container off. You roll it onto where you need it. But it would also take building a pathway, that's as deep as the width of the container, so the wheels won't bind in the gravel or the mud or the dirt or the soil. That's the other dilemma. But that does seem to be the cheaper way to go. And so container wheels for a 40-foot container is probably going to cost somewhere about $1,000. This is fun. That's fun. Yeah, easy to do because nobody moves on the 405, right? CBGB, you'd be stuck there for hours. Doesn't matter what you're driving down the 405, you're going to be going at about 2 miles per hour. Oh yeah, I tried to avoid the 405. I'll tell you what, I'll go all the way around. I'll go all the way north to the 210 before ever considering to drive on the 405 freeway. So anyway, Mike, I love the idea because there's a huge opportunity here. There's a tremendous opportunity. Yeah, refrigerator, that's right. But the worry there, Mike, when I talked to a few engineers about this, they say the problem there is it may already be damaged. See, that's what they're saying. They would say that a refrigerated unit might already be damaged. In other words, it already may have moisture damage, and you usually can't tell until after you get into it. Yes, if you need to buy land outside a city, then yeah, that's right. You could do a container house. Nothing around. You know, you have to rent a crew and a crane, and they would bring. I think I would need 4 container. I don't know if I'm going to stack them, but of course, if you're going to go container house, you would stack them. And so, I could do one level, and then I'd get stuck unless I actually build the I-beam system, that we need. Would you call it? Would you guys call it? I don't even know the name of it. In order for you to stack the second one on top. And so it just seems easier to build this thing, even though I love this idea, just seems easier to frame it and build it. Would be a lot less headache. It's deep enough for a 40-foot container. It's deep. It's a square lot, 200 by 200 meters. So what is that? Where's my calculator? Where is that? 20 times 20? What is that? 20 meters by 20 meters, something like that. 20 meters by 20 meters. And so there's plenty of room to get a 40-foot container in there. Yeah, they're the same as Legos. You could build apartments with them. You could do a whole bunch of stuff. So anyway, yeah. Oh, Sammy's here. So yeah. So of course, I got excited because I know that they're going to dump them. They're dirt cheap. So Mike is saying, yeah, about 80 feet. And so, yeah, it's easier. Now, it's just simply easier. Now, here's the other idea. Instead of doing 2-story, do single story. And I might also save a whole bunch of headache. And so I could put everything on one level, right? And not go a second floor. But on the second floor, the reason why I thought of it, I was like, man, all you'd need is a single hallway and then rooms on each side of it. And then egress, stairs on both sides, of the hallway, and doors so you have egress in case a stupid thing happens, like there's a fire. So that's where this idea comes from, the second floor. And I could put the community kitchen and CRs all on the first floor. And I was going to talk about the CRs. Folks, we still have 100 square meters available that we think might be available on the other side of, not divide at our property line. The property line is where we're going to put the driveway for obvious reasons. Any cars or things that are parked there, we would have view of from our house, from our house. And so then H shape. H, like an H. Yeah, exactly. H shape. So on the other side of the 200 square meters is another 100 square meters, which I can't afford to buy right now, even if it were for sale. I mean, I would find a way to come up with the money, if the price were right. But doggone it, I'm wanting that 100 square meters. And I'm going to get it some kind of way. Something has happened there, and we've put our feelers out to try and find out what's going on with that other 100 square meters. But it's not going to slow me down from building, because I'm not dreaming that I'm going to end up with that. Yeah, I am dreaming I'm going to end up with it. But I'm going to make sure that I build this structure so that I could integrate that 100 square meters in the event that it becomes available. So that means that the septic system is going to be located on that side of the house. If you put the septic tank there, And the engineer, I've already explained this to him, then they're going to give me a way to tap into it. So if we build another structure there, we can integrate that septic system into this new structure, saving ourselves some money. Yes, of course. You know what the plan is, Mike. And put hidden cameras everywhere. You know what the plan is, Mike. Yeah, that's one of the requirements, you know. They don't have any codified laws that say what age you can rent a room to or a bed space to, So I'm going to put a restriction on it. It can't be any older than 21 and you must be female. That happens all over the Philippines, right? Must be a student. You must be out of the house by the time school starts and back in by 10, something like that. Shaw family is in the house. Shaw family is here. How are you? How are you? Shaw family. Let's see. Shaw family would be Tox's favorite subscriber. And now my own. So anyway, that's how we're going to do the septic system. So he knows to make it 3-compartment, large, extra large. We've worked out where the leach line goes and all this other stuff. So anyway, no, of course not. It's going to be for anybody. If you're an expat and you want to visit here, we're going to have this thing set up. So I wanted to talk about the CRs. That's why I started talking about the septic system first, right? CBGB. So we're going to have on the first floor, there's going to be like 5 or 6 CRs all in a row. Now, 2 of them are going to be toilets only. Two of them are going to be showers only. And 2 of them are going to be full bathrooms. And that gives the flexibility so people don't strangle each other, because they have to, even in the middle of the night, they will have to climb down the stairs if they need to pee and use one of those CRs. But students, they're busy people. No comment, CBGB. And so you have busy people, and that means that people, they don't want to be having a restroom available is the most important thing. You don't want to tie full restrooms up. The option is to make 6 full restrooms, which would cost a fortune. 6 full CRs. Menge is in the house. Or you do it this way. When we went to Cebu, we stayed at the rooming house at the transient place, and he did it this way, and I loved it. Yeah, 2 of them that were toilets only, 2 of them that were showers only, and 2 of them that were full restrooms. Right? So if you're one of the first 2 up in the morning, right, or in late at night, and you go and you get the full restroom because that's what you're in your comfort zone, well, good for you. But it won't hang up somebody else who just needs to do number 2, or number 1, in and out real quick. In and out real quick. They just need to pee. Or the ones that just need to shower, But if you need to do all 3, shave, shower, and shit, did I say that out loud? I do apologize, YouTube. Then you get the full restroom if you need to do all 3. Now, will this idea work? I hope it does. And then he said, you build the kitchen in front of it. So so basically, you have a wall there that conceals the CRs, and the kitchen is going to be in front of it, the community kitchen. And again, the community kitchen. Oh, okay, yes, Larry, have a nice sleep. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. So you have the kitchen in front of it. So you're concealing the CRs behind it, right? And he says this is the best utilization of space. And plus, I mean, you're probably going to have to build a concealing wall or a hall there anyway to conceal the restrooms that are going to be behind it, behind the wall. Utilize the wall and make that your kitchen. And then we decided, okay, we're going to have 2 kitchen stations, 2 sinks, two stoves, storage spaces to be able to accommodate all. And boom, done. So there you got it. That's the way that's going to look. And the rest of it is going to be shared community space. So it's going to be open access. I mean, we're going to build a high fence so we can have privacy. But if you could just picture a patio downstairs, and you go upstairs and you have a hallway with rooms on each side of the hallway, that's what we're aiming for. So anyway, we're going to be giving this to you little by little, even as it develops, either in live stream videos and regular videos, or a combination of the two. And they may even become short videos. By the way, my short video about the Duncan, if you wouldn't mind tickling that so we can get it over 1K, I really would appreciate that. Yeah, I'm trying to hit the 1K mark. I probably have 30 or 40 to go. Or maybe you guys have already done it. I appreciate it. Okay, I want to explain that video one more time. Not the short video of Duncan. I'm sorry. The short video of Irregular Dan. They were both kind of interesting, but Irregular Dan. Let's talk about Duncan. Before we go, I think it'll be the last thing I talk about it, right? Here's what happened. We go into the Duncan. I want a small coffee, right? See, the video did fine. It got 1.3K or something like that. I was surprised that I thought it was only going to get like 200 views. But you guys came through for me by sharing it out. But so we go into the Duncan and we order donuts and small cups of coffee. And of course, we get the, oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for getting it over 1K. I truly appreciate that. And so we get it. We order small coffees and then the Bavarian cream donuts, obviously, right? And an old fashioned with the handle on it. And the guy says, oh, sorry, Po, out of stock. We don't have small. Well, I say to him, I had a little bit of a discussion with him because you know me. I said, well, why don't you just go over, send somebody over to mule back some small cups from the other mall. The Dunkin' owner owns all 3 Dunkin' Donuts in town. So, it's a very simple paper transaction to go over there and just grab a couple sleeves of small cups and do the paperwork for that you transfer them. So they could transfer from one store's profit center to the other, right? Very simple. And then I could have a small cup of coffee. Sorry, Po, not allowed. Okay, he was very polite. Okay, not allowed. So now I know when to hear that. That's the end of that line of questioning or inquiry. Because if you say anything else, critiquing it, Billy is here. Mr. Billy, love you, bruh. Mr. Billy is here. A house, another house, investment house, a rooming house. So now here's how this part goes, right? Yeah, very simple, but not in the Philippines. Exactly. It's complicated. And so I leave that line of questioning alone. I said, okay, do you have large cups? Well, yes, Po. I have large cups of coffee. Okay. Take a large cup, pour it halfway, and then sell it to me at the small cup price. And then he says, sorry, Po, not allowed. So I'm done. So at that point, I'm done. I had a whole bunch of other thoughts. Saying anything else about how to get my cup of coffee, how to get my Dunkin' cup of coffee, which I was dying for. Please don't do this to me. But I knew well enough to leave it alone. I said, okay, no problem, youngster. Just give us the donuts and we'll be fine. So we'll just go across to the Jolly Bee and I'll order up a couple of small cups of coffee. And so no problem. So, but man, Minnie and I, we did finish the donuts there. We hopped over to the Jolly Bee who had small cups in stock. And I was thinking to myself, isn't this really, really interesting that they would allow me to go across the street and have the risk of losing a customer because I might enjoy Jollibee coffee more than I like the Dunkin', and Jollibee may end up inheriting a new coffee customer. But it turns out that Jollibee's coffee, it's okay. You know, it did the job, but it's not Dunkin'. So maybe they know this. Oh, he'll go over to Jollibee. He'll take his first sip of coffee and spit it out, and then he'll be back tomorrow. Well, that's kind of true, except for the fact that Jollibee has some pretty good coffee, right? And so now I'm okay with going to Jollibee when this happens again. But why would you risk as a you know, you own the Dunkin' and you're all about profit and making money and making customers happy. Why would you risk doing it that way? I would just say, yes, Po, I'll send somebody over right away to go get a sleeve of small coffee cups. Now, if you didn't want to do it that way, you could have said to me, go over there next door to Prince and buy a sleeve of small coffee cups. Bring them back and I'll give you your coffee for free. In other words, you're building goodwill. You want to save yourself from, but no. Here's what really, in my mind, here's what really happened. The owner comes in and says, you know what? Coffee sales are in the toilet this week. In my mind, I'm thinking this, being in the business before, owning several donut shops in the past, right? Knowing how an owner thinks. They could have said this, coffee sales are in the toilet. Sales in general are in the toilet. We're going to try and boost gross revenues. Well, how are you going to do that, sir? I'm going to explain it to you. Don't sell small coffees. Tell everybody we're out of small coffee cups. Your orders are to only sell large coffees for the rest of this week so we can boost gross sales. Yeah, I said gross. Has a double meaning. You need to get gross revenue up and profits up. We make more money selling a large coffee than we do a small coffee. Tell everybody you're out of small coffee cups. That's how a business owner thinks. See, now a counter person who works, they may not understand this. They're like, well, man, I'm going to have to lie to my customer. You know, of course, I'm being ridiculous. They probably did run out of small coffee cups. I'm telling you how owners think, because this is the way that I used to think, right? In my donut shops. And have I done anything like this before? No. And why didn't I? Well, because I just plain wasn't smart enough. I wasn't smart enough. I'm the guy that didn't realize that you can make a fortune selling big gulps when you have school kids walking by every day. I'm that guy. You have 1 million school kids walking by your shop in the morning and 1 million school kids walking by at night. And I couldn't figure out that all I had to do was sell a 40-ounce cup of Coke for 99 cents and I would become rich. I'm that guy. So no, I'm not a great business person. But now I would be. Now at age 68, I've finally gotten the message. So if that's the first thing that I think about that I'm sharing with you. Oh, that's smart. The business owner. So now I have a conflict. Oh, but I'm a customer. No, I'm a business owner. No. Yes, you can do it. No, you can't. I'm the devil. I'm the angel. I'm the devil. I'm the angel. Now I'm conflicted because now if the owner actually was thinking that way, now I don't know what to do. I'm lost. Because the business owner side of me would say, "Oh, that's smart." And on the customer service end, I'm going, "That's bad. That's dishonest." See what I mean? I don't know what to do. Shaw family, I don't know what to do. I'm lost. Griselda's here. Chrissy Mama. Yes, yes. It's the coffee conundrum. What do I do now? And then I realized, well, this is not going to make me stop going to this Dunkin' any kind of way. It isn't going to. So they were probably right. They win. They win, right? All right. I said that was the last thing I was going to talk about. But then I thought of something else. I don't want this live stream to end before I do this, before I share this with you. Some of you, we're talking mostly to a Filipino audience, and there are 3 or 4 Kanoas in here. There are 3 or 4 there are 3 or 4 foreigners up in here. And so I'm mostly talking to you. Unless you know who George Carlin is, right? There was a bit that he did, right? It's the 7 words that you can't say on television, right? And now if you go into, now I don't think that I could say, I know I can say the words because if you go in and you look up George Carlin, 7 words, that's all you have to put when you're searching YouTube. You're going to come up with George Carlin. He has since passed away a couple of years ago. May God rest his soul. Because he was a fabulous human being. I actually met him myself when I was a little kid. When his career was starting out, he came to our school. He's fully capable of doing a routine that 7-year-old kids can understand, and it's clean. Doesn't involve a single curse word. So, and I admired this man, and so I really did. And so I followed his career, I followed his career practically up until the day he died. And he was performing all the way up until the day he died. But if you want to have a good laugh, you go in, you watch this video because it reminds me of something. The 7 words you can say on YouTube, but can't say on TV. And you'll go in there and you'll have a chuckle because YouTube allows this because it's creative. Those are the first 7 words I learned when learning a new language. Yes, when learning English, you'll learn all the curse words first. And the same way, you will learn all the curse words first if you're learning Visayan or Tagalog. All right, let me wrap it up. So YouTube will allow you to say these 7 words. The first word starts with an S. These are all, most of these are 4-letter words. The second word starts with a P. The third word starts with an F. Then there's the C. There's 2 C words back to back. I made a funny there. You have to go watch the video to see what the funny was. There are 2 words there in that back to back. Then there's the MF word. And then there's this. There's this, right? The 7 words you can say on YouTube, but you can't say it on TV. Oh, you can though say the word ass, depending on the context. Let me give you an example. The same way he presented it. You could point and say, Dan over there is an ass. Yes, Dan is the biggest ass that I've ever seen. You can say that. But you can't say this. I want to screw Dan in the that is not allowed any kind of way. Hey, exactly. Mike, put it up there for us. You can't say that. But check this out. You'll remember this. This is what surprises me about YouTube. You'll remember this. Yes, Mike, another excellent. You're right on your game today. Yeah. You get this? You can say this, but you can't say this. All right, so this is absolutely ridiculous, right? Because and I'm referring to YouTube, because you have to watch what you say, right? Because there are certain words, by the way, that they're four-letter words, but you can't say them on YouTube. But they're not curse words. They're not curse words. And I will remind you of this. If you go back, you'll remember you got some emails from YouTube. And it said, if you start talking about this, you start talking about that, you start talking about this in this context, we will delete that video and quite possibly subject you to being deleted. We will delete you. We will cancel you. You will be out of YouTube. But yet, if you go in here and you see George Carlin, the 7 words you can't say on TV, it's absolutely as true today as it was back in the 20 years ago or 30 years ago that he wrote this routine. And that is that you can say them on YouTube, though. You can say them on YouTube. You can't say them on TV. And then the words that aren't curse words, that apparently offend YouTube and a lot of other people, are not curse words. You follow what I'm saying? They're not curse words. All right, so go watch that routine. And you guys know what I'm talking about, what was going on now, what was going on back in 2020 and 2021, 22, 23. Now, one more thing I want to talk about that's closely related, and then we're out, right? We're out because I've gone too long. People have things to do, places to go. And that is this. Get ready for another YouTube resurgence. It's happening now. It's happening right now, and a lot of you have noticed it. A lot of people have noticed that your YouTube videos are starting to climb. And why are they starting to climb? They're climbing because a lot of people are sitting at home. They're sitting at home in the United States, twiddling their thumbs. They're sitting at home in China, twiddling their thumbs. They're sitting at home in a lot of different countries, twiddling their thumbs. And when you're twiddling your thumbs, you start scrolling through YouTube channels. Prepare yourself. It's money-making time. Prepare yourself. All right? The timing couldn't be better for your success. Every day is the right day for your success. Well, CBGB, a video I just saw shows that fuel prices declined in California by 16%. Retail fuel prices. Is that true or not? And one reason is it's supply and demand. If you can't go to work if you can't drive to work because you have no job, then you don't need petrol. You don't need gasoline in your vehicle, right? And so if you don't need gasoline in your vehicle, what happens? Gasoline station ain't selling the gas. The price starts to drop when they realize they can't move their gas, and they've made a commitment. They made a commitment on a delivery schedule. The gasoline is coming whether they use it or not. So you can't afford to go out other than work, is what Hey Joe is saying. So That's right. That's the way they want it. That's the way the man wants it. You know, they want you working for the man. Yeah. So anyway, uh, the the global economy is changing, and as a result, it's getting more expensive to live here in the Philippines. And Minnie and I, we were discussing it this morning. You know, how much has our budget increased over the past 3 months? And the truth of the matter is, we have to boost it. We have to boost it right now by 5%. So we boosted our household budget by 5%, which is, it's a lot of dough. You have to put everything in perspective. It's a lot of dough. Valero Refinery in Benicia had a fire and is shutting the doors soon. So prices will stay high. Okay. So it's supply and demand, and that's supply side economics. So, folks, I've given you a couple of ideas to think about, right? I've given you a couple of ideas. I haven't been wrong too often lately. I can see the writing is in the heavens. The writing on the wall, the writing in the heavens. Prepare yourself for making money. It's your time to get rich. 18K for used Yugo. Well, okay. Here, we haven't seen any spikes in vehicle prices. As a matter of fact, they're dumping them here. They're dumping them here. And so, CBGB, were you in the market for a new car? See, here's the interesting thing, you know, that when the interesting thing about, go look to see what people are spending their money on. And then, so we keep opening one door after another, and Dan has to make a comment. So nobody is buying cars yet CBGB, I just like to point out that it doesn't matter what the price of cars are. Nobody are buying them. So if a used car is 18K, it doesn't matter, because there isn't a market. Well, there definitely is not a market for Yugo, but there's no market for any cars of any kind. And there's a guy, I wish I remembered his channel name. He sells cars for $3,500, and he has 40 cars on his lot, I believe, and none of them are moving, including the coveted 2003, 2005 Toyota Camry, 4-cylinder. He has a $3,500 price tag on it, and nobody wants it. Interesting, huh? So, and also one more thing. People keep talking about empty shelves that are happening in the United States. And it's there are no more 99-cent stores in the United States. So I would like for you to go in there and point out the empty shelf and show me what was on that shelf that you so desperately need. Are you following me? This is food for thought. What is it on that shelf that's empty that you so desperately needed? And I'm going to tell you what the answer is. Nothing. Nothing. Because if there were one thing on that shelf that you needed it, you would have bought it at the 99-cent store, and you did not buy it. So there, I rest my case. You did not buy it. So what is it that you really need in order to survive? Food in your tummy. Have you seen empty grocery stores? Have you seen food not being stocked on the shelf? Because if you say yes, you're lying to me. And how is it that I know that to be true, even though I'm not in the States? It is because the food that was being exported to other countries is ending up on American grocery shelves. That's how I know. See, It's critical thinking. I have no facts to support what I'm saying. I have no facts whatsoever. The facts here are that no, I have nothing. It's common sense. You think that the farmers are going to start burying their foods soon because they can't get the price of the cost of producing it? You may be right. They may be burying the food. But for now, it's going in onto grocery store shelves. By the way, CBGB, Cambodia has cheap liquor. So if you wanted to go there for both cheap housing and for cheap beer, wine, and other alcoholic beverages, you would go to Cambodia because they don't tax the crap out of it like other countries. So you can get actually vodka there for very cheap, you know. So if you wanted cheap alcohol, I recommend Cambodia. We were there, Minnie and I, in the entertainment district, just drinking beers. You know, you could have, I mean, it's so cheap, you know. I mean, it's a trap because you could conceivably turn in or become an alcoholic. But the truth of the matter is, if you're already one, then go to Cambodia because the booze is cheap. With that, I've given you the food, literally, for thought. They have due process, Dan. For their own people, they do. For their own folks, you know. If it's a contest between you and a Cambodian, you're going to lose, the same as you are here in the Philippines. So anyway, guys, yes, yeah, critical thinking, Dan. It's common, or you could say common sense, Dan, right? Because all of this is common sense. See, if you have to have it, right, go buy it, right? But I see a whole bunch of videos where store shelves will be empty soon. Well, empty of what? Toilet paper? Yes, I can't figure out a way to wipe my ass. I'm going to have to go buy toilet paper. That's the silliest thing that I ever heard of in my entire life, right? I mean, you can't eat toilet paper. Folks, I remind you of my past rants. If you can't eat it, don't buy it. But what's going to be empty on store shelves is Levi's jeans made in China. What's going to be empty off store shelves is T-shirts and underwear. Gold Commando. That's my best advice for you. Gold Commando. I'm gonna put it on a T-shirt. Gold Commando. Don't wear undergarments. With that, I will bid you farewell until tomorrow night at 6 p.m. when we're doing another weekly giveaway. Be there or be square. See everybody later. Bye-bye.